Hey, love. Good morning. Welcome back to the Stephen to Soar podcast. I am your host and Chief Joy Officer, Coach Anisha Jones. And this is where professionals and entrepreneurs who are 40 years and older navigate the beautiful chaos of adulting with raw honesty, a healthy dose of humor, and a whole lot of heart. So over here, the conversation is all about you being the main character in your midlife. So anything that increases clarity over overwhelm, confidence over insecurity, accountability, and your holistic well-being, we will be getting into. Babe, we just making sure that you are living a life that's inspired and anchored in joy, connection, and meaningful action. I want you to live a life that looks good and feels great in your 40s and beyond. Let's get into it. Okay, so today we're talking about something subtle but powerful. Something that keeps so many of us stuck, especially in midlife. It's called pedestaling. And this is a habit of watching other people live boldly while shrinking in our own dreams. Sounds familiar? Yeah, you're looking at that influencer, you're looking at the things that she's doing and buying, the places that she's going, the trips that she's taking, and you're thinking, must be nice. And never thinking that perhaps you can do that as well. Anyhow, let's get into what pedestaling really is. So pedestaling is when you admire someone so much that you start believing that they can do it, but you can't. You watch their confidence, their discipline, their body, their business, even their friendships. And you start thinking, that's really lovely to see. And instead of being inspired to take action, you become inspired into inactivity. You're spending more time watching other people live their life online than actually building the life you want. And here's the thing. Pedestaling start to feel harmless because, really it's just admiration when you start. It's like, ooh, I really like her. She does so much amazing things. You drop hearts, you drop comments. That sometimes it feels like motivation. But in reality, if all you're doing is coming online and watching this person live and not actually taking any inspired action, watching somebody live their best life is actually keeping you on the sidelines of your own life. So why do we do that? Let's talk about what really happens when we choose to pedestal somebody and look at their life as the blueprint and not actually use it to inspire us into action. And of course, I'm going to have this backed with research. I have very strong opinions. I want to make sure that it's backed with research because I want you to know that it's whatever we're going through right now, there's nothing new under the sun. And there is information that exists that can help us to move forward out of whatever situation. Okay, so the first reason is that social comparison actually lowers our self-belief. So Festinger's social comparison theory shows that when you constantly compare yourself to people you see as ahead of you, your confidence actually drops. So instead of being motivated, your brain is quietly telling you, she can do it. She has support. She has a husband. She is pretty. She has a good body. She has a car. She has great friends. But I can't. Reason number 2 is passive inspiration tricks our brain. So studies from the University of Chicago found that watching motivational content gives your brain a reward, even though you haven't taken any action. So you're motivated, you get goosebumps when you hear the truth somebody drop on you, when you listen to that powerful sermon. You ever watch a sermon from Sarah Jakes or Priscilla Shear? Ooh, these ladies are powerful. You get that motivation, you get that surge. It's like, my gosh, you can get it done. But then you don't, because your brain actually receives the motivational content as a reward. But if you don't take any action to follow it up, it's like you feel inspired, but nothing in your life really changes. Reason number 3 is over-identifying with others reduces our agency. So I tell you a quick story. In the 80s, there was a televangelist called Jimmy Swaggart, right? And my mom said that my dad used to look at him all the time when he just came out. He was really powerful. Like, he would cry. She said my father would cry too when he's watching it. She said when he was really into Jimmy Swaggart, she saw how he changed. Like he became really softer and more thoughtful towards her. She felt like their relationship would evolve even faster because he was, so deeply into Jimmy Swaggart. He wanted to start going to church because, he'd follow up with the scriptures when Jimmy Swaggart came on. And then a few years later, it was discovered that Jimmy Swaggart was living a double life. He had some really, non-conforming things, if you are Christian, going on in the background. And his entire empire crashed. And my mom said that my father was just like, see, that way I can't believe people. And he just pretty much gave up his journey in terms of thinking about church and all of that. That was it for him. He was just over it, whatever. And pretty much just see all of them is the same thing, and he washing hands off that. I guess that man really did disappoint him. But this can happen when we over-identify ourselves with what other people do. It reduces our ability to make any change. So Bandura's research on self-efficacy shows that when you overly admire someone, you start relying on their success as fuel. So if somebody fails, it's like if you fail. When that happens, it shifts from empowerment to entertainment. So you're no longer going to this person to feel motivated. You're going to this person so that you can see what they're doing. You're living vicariously through them. And it's dangerous because it means that you're giving up your sense of self-advocacy. You're giving up your sense of autonomy because it's like whatever that person do, you would. And while I agree, we all need people that we need to look up to and we need to feel as though we have a connection to them. It is lazy to say, well, I don't need to really improve my life because look, them outside here on social media and they're pretending to be this and they're pretending to be that and they're not really living that life anyway. So I don't need to make any change. I mean, for you to decide to not make change in your life because somebody else is being fake is weird. Because people are allowed to be whoever they want to be. And if you start saying that I'm not going to change because they just pretend this and they're telling people one thing and they're doing the next thing afterwards, this is a cop out. It is a cop out. You have a right to build the life that you want, to create the life that you want. To assign somebody else so much power in your life, especially at our big age, is not wisdom. And at this point in life, we're working with wisdom. You understand? Not just experience, we're working with wisdom. So that's when we over-identify with others, we really could just reduce our agency and forget about how powered we are intrinsically. We're supposed to have intrinsic motivation to make choices and decisions based on what we know is good for ourselves. Yes, be inspired by other people. Yes, be encouraged by other people. But no, don't allow yourself to only make a decision because somebody else is doing it. So that's the truth. That's the hard truth. You can't build a body you want by watching somebody else work out. You can't create the business that you dream of by admiring somebody else's consistency. You can't build a village by watching how other women connect and great girl pics that you see posted online. If you're not being a villager, you can't admire other people's village. At some point, you have to stop watching and start actually doing and living your life. And why this is really critical is because confidence is built in the doing. Confidence is not you waiting to feel something, Confidence is a habit that you could build. So every small action that you take becomes evidence that you trust yourself. You build your confidence based on competence. Every time you learn to do something and you do something well, your sense of self-confidence grows. Our confidence comes from knowing that we can do the thing that we said we would do. You understand? Because every time, Granny, I'm recording something. Every time you take every small action you take brings evidence that you can trust yourself. And accountability, like real, honest accountability, strengthens that self-trust. So if you want a life that looks good and feel great, you must take action. Move the trip out of the group chat. Go to the gym and build the body that you want. Create the village you crave by showing up for people and being aligned to people who are on your path. Start the project you've been talking about. Get the help you need and get started. Choose yourself consistently. You don't need to pedestal anybody. You don't need to make it seem like if somebody else have it all figured out. The person you think have it all figured out, going through things just like you, or would have gone through things just like you to be at the point where they are right now. I can tell you the things that I am able to do right now. 2 years ago, I would not have been able to do them. Some things I started didn't finish. Some things I started flopped. Some things changed. Some things didn't work out. But every time I did it, I grew strength in myself. I grew self-belief, and I trust myself. No matter what happened in my life, I know that I am strong. I am intelligent. I can figure it out, and I could keep moving forward. Very little things move me because I have built a structure for myself, and I've built a standard for myself, and I have enough historical evidences to see that no matter what come to me, I just work my way through it. I have my God, and I know how to keep moving. Right? So you don't need to pedestal anyone. You need to get up and become the woman you've been admiring. Okay, so as we step into September, I want you to focus on self-confidence through action. All of September, we'll be talking about self-confidence through action. I want you to choose one small step and commit to it daily. And I'd love to hear from you. What action will you take first? Or what's one quick thing that you can do to boost your confidence and stop pedestaling others? Your next season is waiting, and it requires you to step off the silence of your life and start actually living it. In September, if you want some ideas about 10 things you can do to help you build confidence, and you can do it in less than a minute, click the link in the description. I have a list all ready for you that you can check out. Okay? All right. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Remember, the Season to Soar podcast is a platform that is dedicated to grown professionals and entrepreneurs, people who are 40 years and older, who are ready to rise with clarity, confidence, and community. My name is Anisha Jones, and it's been wonderful spending time with you today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.